Hey there. That was a weird start. Should we try again? Hello. Even weirder. Okay, let's move on. So I had a conversation with somebody recently, and they had believed that their tax returns had been filed for the last few years, actually. And so today we logged in together to just see how much was owing. We just wanted to get a sense of the situation, and it turned out their returns had not been filed for a few years. So returns that they thought had been filed hadn't been. And this is not the first time that I have run into this with a client. I had somebody a few months ago who I was doing corporate taxes for, and I had asked them for their prior year return so that I could input the prior year numbers into the current year return. And they said they couldn't find it, and then they went back and they asked for it from the accountant, and then I forget exactly what happened, but I went in and I logged in the CRA account and I just had a look, and yeah, it turned out it hadn't been filed. So it happens. It happens. You can get a printout or a PDF of your tax return, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's been filed. What happens is an accountant will do your taxes in their program, and then they print your completed tax return. But unless they actually hit that e-file button, it doesn't go to the CRA. So getting that printout or that package from your accountant does not mean that your taxes have been filed. Now, 99% of the time, the taxes are filed. This is not meant to be like fear mongering or like spreading panic, which I guess is what fear mongering means. It's not. Mostly it happens, but every now and again, that last step just doesn't happen because things get missed. Tax season is busy, and you send out the completed tax return, or in some cases just the summary, and then for review, and then you get a signature back. But then a lot of accountants won't file until the bill has been paid. So then, sometimes there's some timing issues in there. So maybe it takes a week, and then maybe the payment comes in, and then that last step just gets overlooked, unfortunately. So what I recommend doing is to trust that your accountant has filed. If they have said, yes, I filed your taxes. If you don't get a message saying your taxes have been filed, you can definitely follow up with them and just say, hey, I never got a message about tax filing. Didn't happen. But what you can do on your own is to log into the CRA's website, and on the My account, that's it. And so you log in there, and the first thing that you see is there's a tile on the left side. It takes up about half the screen, maybe 2/3 of the screen, sort of on the left side. And it tells you the last return that's been filed, or it will say the status of the prior year return. That's it. So right now it'll tell you the status of your 2019 return. Sometimes it has some other information there. And then there's a button that you can click that says something like view the status of my returns or tax returns or something. It's a very obvious button, and you click that, and it just tells you, it just lists the last 10 years or so, and whether they've received it and whether they've assessed it, just what the status of your return is for each of those years. And I find this to be a super helpful tool, especially when I'm onboarding a new client and they're not confident about their tax situation. I just log in, have a look, and I'm like, okay, here's exactly what needs to happen. The CRA has received all the way up to 2016, and we just have to do 2017, 18, 19. Great. I can create a list. We have a starting point, which is excellent, because I think that's a lot of times that's where the fear lies, is not knowing what your situation is, not understanding what needs to happen next, not knowing how much you owe, that kind of thing. So just logging into the CRA to find out if the tax returns have been filed, and it will tell you how much is owed to. If you scroll down a little bit, then there's a total amount that you owe, or an amount that they owe you. Usually that number is 0, though. For most people, it's just 0. If you have a few years outstanding, you might not be able to log into your CRA account. Sometimes they lock that down for some reason. I don't know why they do that. It's not like if you haven't filed your tax return, they're not going to convince you to file by saying, oh, well, you don't get to log into your CRA account if you don't file your taxes. Like, that's not really a great incentive. But what you can do is you can actually call them and just speak to an agent and just say, hey, like, this is my situation. I don't know, like, when was the last tax return that's been filed? And they can tell you. You have to have some tax information on hand. So you'll need a tax return of a year. It doesn't have to be the latest return, just so that they can verify that it's you. And because they have security questions for you. So they'll ask you questions like, what's line 50 on whatever tax return you have? And you can just tell them, oh, I have 2014 or whatever, because they have access to all of your tax returns. So it doesn't matter what year it is. They can ask you questions about that return. And, you know, if you have returns outstanding, it's okay to call them and say, when was the last return that I filed? Because it's not going to like flag your account or anything like that. Like, they already know that you haven't filed taxes. So calling them and asking, hey, when was the last tax return I filed, is not going to cause a change in your account in any way. They're not going to come after you because of that. They're not going to suddenly be alerted that you haven't filed a tax return in 4 or 5 years. Like, they already know. They have an automated system for sending out letters saying, please file your taxes. So it's not going to make a change there. And in a lot of cases, you know, you can chat with the agent and they can help you to create a plan to move forward. So it's a good thing to be in contact with the CRA. It's not a good thing to just ignore it and hope it goes away, because they don't. That's one thing I know for sure. As an accountant, I always say the answer is it depends. With the CRA, it does not depend. Being in contact with them is always a good idea. So that's my little PSA for the day. Trust your accountants have filed your taxes, but also verify it. Just hop onto the CRA account and make sure. And, you know, if you're not comfortable logging in, or you're, you know, really don't want to give them a call, I know some people that have a really significant fear of the CRA. And so dealing with the CRA at all is a huge, huge deal for them. So in that case, I would just make sure that you're watching for the notice of assessment. And then if you don't receive that in the mail in, I would say maybe a month after your accountant has filed your taxes, if you don't receive that, then follow up with your accountant. Just say, I haven't received a notice of assessment. Is this, like, what's going on? Basically, I expected to receive this, and then they can help you out with that. They can log into your account, or they can look in their own files and say, like, yes, I definitely filed it. Here's your confirmation number, that kind of thing. So trust but verify. If you have any questions about any of that, definitely let me know in the comments. I'm happy to chat with you about any of that. Walk you through some stuff if you need it. And I've also left a link in the description for my newsletter. So if you love getting free accounting and tax tips sent to you every week, then definitely sign up. So that's what it's all about. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you tomorrow.